Welcome back to my classroom, coming to you live from classroom A111. Well, no, I'm not live, but I'm in my classroom nonetheless. It's Friday, which means classroom chat. Roll intro. All right, I know it's that time of year. You guys, a lot of us are in testing mode, full-on testing mode, getting our assessments in. I wanted to take a moment today during this teaching chat video to not only discuss the fact that I'm getting sick, but just, you're gonna have to put up with the stuffy nose, but standardized tests and kind of my thoughts on those and sort of how I feel about them and what their purpose and place is in education. So, this standardized tests. I know it's a scary word, and many of, everybody has a different feeling when you hear that word, and I'm here to tell you that they can be a wonderful tool, but the thing of it is they have to be done right. Standardized tests usually aren't, though. I know we take the PARC. Not me personally. I don't. I'm a kindergarten teacher, so I don't do PARC. But I was talking to some of the other teachers, and apparently, I did not know this. Apparently, and correct me if I'm wrong. Apparently, there's not a way to do item analysis or sort of go into an error analysis of their student scores. Like, you're not able to go in and see what they missed and kind of what sort of things your class struggled with so that you can inform your instruction moving forward or for the next school year. And to me, if that's the case, you guys, if the PARC test doesn't allow you guys to go in and see where your class did poorly so you could fix it for next year, that's kind of a big deal. That's like immoral, in my opinion. Like, ethically, that's wrong. Like, how are we supposed to use these tests to inform our instruction and get better if we can't go and look and see, okay, wow, everybody missed these types of questions? Like, seriously? So correct me if I'm wrong. If you can go in and get some good data from these tests, please correct me if I'm wrong, because then that would be more helpful. But back when I taught in Chicago, we had a test that we took called the MAP, Measure of Academic Performance. I loved it. It was a computer-based test, and we started taking it in kindergarten. We took it at the beginning of the year, middle of the year, end of the year. And it basically tested the child on all of the Common Core standards, all the skills, and it spit out a score when you were done. And based on the score, I mean, you could go super deep into detail on the types of questions they missed and how they missed them, and it would spit out a score, and based on their score, it would tell you, okay, they scored a 155. Based on that score, here are the things that they have mastered, here are the things that they need to work on, and here are the things that if you teach them, it'll bump them into the next tier group. I'm telling you guys, having that concrete data, you would not believe how high my kindergartners were by the end of the year. I had 22 kids, I think. I had like 10 of them reading at a second grade level because I knew exactly what they knew, exactly what they didn't know, and how to move forward. Now, I don't have that. What we assess them on here is, it's called Ames Web, and basically it just wants to know how fast could they say their letters. Yeah, a lot of good that does. Like, no. So it sucks, but that's just what I'm given, and it's what I gotta do. But anyway, so you can see how a good and that was nationally normed, the MAP test. That was good, concrete data. And I used that data as just one data point to inform my instruction. I used a ton of other data, but you see, when you can have a standardized test that actually provides teachers with information to better themselves in their classroom, it's a beautiful thing. But when it's just, oh, take this test, now the state gets it, and now the state gives your school a grade, and you can't really do anything with it, I just kind of think that's kind of screwed up, to be honest with you. So, I don't know. So, you guys let me know how you feel about standardized tests. in the comments below. Have you had good experiences with them, bad experiences? Again, I'm not in a tested grade, so I don't have a whole lot of experience with the bigger tests like Park. But let me know what you guys think about those. So my other big thing this week that I changed, you'll notice something's missing from here. My behavior chart is gone. Actually, it's in here. I stuffed it in there. So this week, I went back to my roots. I ditched my behavior chart. I know, right? What do you mean? You gotta have a behavior chart. Okay, let me put you down. I gotta sit down for this. Let me just sit down. Okay, so ditched the behavior chart. The reason, I hate it. It makes me negative. I know you guys. Some of you guys are very good at using it positively, and you can say, oh, well, you have a clip chart. Yeah, you can move them up. It could be positive. It just doesn't work for me. I've tried it. I've tried it for years. I've tried it a little bit every year, and it doesn't work for me. So what do you do instead, Mr. Thain? Okay, here's the deal. I don't do anything. Like, we just do our, like, we exist, and we learn, and we do our work. And when a kid is misbehaving for whatever reason, there's a logical, immediate consequence. For example, if a student, we're sitting down doing our morning work after breakfast, and a student is kind of just sitting there not doing anything. Step one, I go over to the student, and I say, hey, what's wrong? Why aren't you getting started on your work? And if I get any type of attitude or any, if it's something like, oh, I'm tired or this or that, I'll talk to the student and try to pep talk them, But if it's just a student being misbehaving or whatever, okay, well, you can do this now, or you're welcome to do it during recess. I'll let you decide. It's stuff like that. Say a student is continuously talking to their neighbors and distracting them. Move student somewhere else. It's because when a student in my class this year, I had a lot of students that if they would be disciplined and had to move their clip to blue, which is one below where they start, it would make them angry and upset, and they would get so upset that it would kind of ruin the rest of their day. So it just wasn't effective for me this year. So I've moved more towards all right, this child is misbehaving. Let's try to get to the bottom of this. Let's figure it out. If they're just misbehaving because they're just being weird, all right, let's have an immediate, appropriate consequence that makes sense. And you take the consequence and you move on. Because a lot of times when a kid sees themselves on blue or whatever, it's like, well, but I'm in trouble, So it's, I don't know. And I'm of the belief, too, that when there is no visual, for me, okay, when there's no visual of like, oh, these kids are being bad and these kids are being good, and it's just the expectation that everybody behaves, kids rise up to the expectation. And I did a video on this a long time ago. I'll link it up. Beware. It was an early video, so it was probably butts. But you guys can watch it if you want. I will admit, this week was one of the better weeks. Last week was awful. This week was much better, and I have to think that part of it was because I wasn't worried about a behavior chart. It freed me up to worry about this. Because I wasn't so fussy over a behavior chart, I was able to work on brain power jar, and I busting out my table point system. And when you have a behavior chart and brain power and table points, it's very hard to juggle all that. So right now, I've just got my brain power and my table points, and it worked out just fine. And it was positive. It's only positive because I don't take away table points. Once you've earned them, you've earned them. Same thing with brain power. I don't take brain power out. And it's always positive. It's always positive. There are, so I'm sticking with no behavior chart. Let me know if you guys have any like super awesome, unique behavior charts that no one's ever seen or heard of before. Something that's different than the typical clip up and down or the card turning. If you guys have something awesome that you'd like to share with the community, please share, because I know I can't be the only one in this boat where the typical behavior chart doesn't work for me. And my final topic for this week's classroom chat is, hang on, you're not level. Oh, there we go. Okay. Please say my mic is on. If it's not on, it's all worth it. Oh, God, okay. Sometimes I forget to turn the mic on, and then I record a whole scene or something, and it has no sound. So, we're good. Okay. It's just got really quiet in here all of a sudden. There's all this white noise, and now all of it's super quiet. It's creepy. Okay. If you've been watching these classroom chat vlogs over the past couple weeks, you will know that I have been getting really big into student choice. And this week, I sort of stopped doing it. I sort of changed. Now, I have I have taken a lot of student choice away because I felt as though many of my students were starting to take advantage of having that. Many of my students were starting to take advantage of having that level of freedom allotted to them. And I felt like I was managing too much and not teaching enough. So instead of, when we do guided reading and guided math, instead of they have the ability to choose from one of 7 or 8 things, it's, all right, green team, you are with me at my guided reading table. Blue team, you are on computers doing ABC Mouse. Yellow team, you are doing a workstation, and red team, you're on iRead on the other computers. But the choice comes from, I have 4 workstations sitting out. So when yellow team is at workstations, they may pick from one of 4 things. But blue team has to stay on computers, and red team has to stay on computers, and green team has to stay with me, and then I rotate. Green team will go, and I'll say, when I'm done with green team at my table, I'll say, green team, now you need to go to a workstation, and blue team goes. So it's a rotation now with a little bit of choice, and the choice comes from what workstation do I want to do. So they still have a bit of choice over their own learning, but it's not a free-for-all. Now, the free-for-all method can work, but you have to have the right dynamic in your classroom, and you've got to be able to manage it. And this year, no, I can't. And it's worked out well. I haven't been getting any pushback from it. I'm just open with them. And I say, look, this is how it's going to be, and here's why. And that's the thing. No matter how young your kids are, you can be open with them and sort of, I feel like they appreciate it when you tell them why you're doing stuff. Why are we making these classroom changes? I almost feel like it helps them see you more as a person and not just a teacher. Talking to them look, guys, last week was a little bit rough. I talked to our principal, and we discussed that we're going to start doing it this way now. It's funny. If you ever have to tell the kids something that they are not going to want to hear, you just blame your principal. Say, well, the principal told me we can't do this anymore, so he's my boss. I got to listen. So let's just blame it on your principal, and then you don't got to be the bad guy or the bad girl. So quick tip for you. But anyway, I've been just tweaking and adjusting how I do my small groups, and everything else remains the same. These work boxes, they still put their work done. They still put their work in it when they're done. However, let me just get one. What I started doing this week is I used to empty these every day, but I was talking to another teacher, and instead of emptying these every day, I have them keep stuff in there till Friday. Now, today, during our last part of our small group time, I pulled out their papers and just gave a quick check. I just checked them to make sure they're complete, and I checked them to make sure they're accurate, and I stapled them all together and threw a sticker on there. And I sent them home. This one didn't have a name on it, so I didn't send it home, but I sent them home with the kids so that they could show their family what they're working on in class. They liked that idea, and if they missed something on it, I circled it, and I called them over, and I said, hey, would you please fix this so we can put a sticker on it and send it home? And they seem to take to it, and it's kind of like a fun Friday routine that I'm going to start. So, you just got to be flexible, and you have to be willing to make changes, but you guys got to realize it's okay to try new things in your classroom, and if they crash and burn, they crash and burn. Move on, adjust, tweak. Don't ever be afraid to try stuff in your classroom. And if you're trying something new, be open with your students. Say, hey guys, we're gonna try something new today. I'm not sure how it's gonna go, but I think we can do it, or I'd like to just see how it goes. And then when it's done, talk to them about how it went. Oh, okay guys, that didn't go so well, or why not? Or say, who else liked the way we did it? So remember, it's their classroom too. It's a community. Share with each other. Be open and honest with your kids, and they might reciprocate that back towards you. So, all right. Anyway, I gotta get out of here. It's Friday. I'm trying to go home. It was a good week overall. I hope you guys had a great week. I hope you're off to a great start to your weekend. Remember, relax, recharge, refresh. Use this weekend. Take some time to forget that you're a teacher. But remember, always keep that in your mind, that reflection piece in your mind. Recharge for another great week of teaching and learning. As always, find your gift, share it with the world, and remember, you are worth it. See you tomorrow.